All right, everybody, welcome back. One more defensive end video for this year, and then we are going to sit on it until the draft starts. But three more guys to look at in this video. We're going to start with Fabien Lovett of Florida State, the Seminoles. A guy who I actually took note of a couple times during the year, and it never really manifested the way that I was thinking it would. He's considered mostly undraftable or barely draftable. So 24 years old, 6'4", 314 pounds. So he's nice and big and he's got a good frame. 35 and a half inch arms. 35 and a half inch arms. That's by a good amount the longest arms I've seen of any player in this draft, I think, so far. 35 and a half inches. With arms like that, you should be a higher draft pick than undrafted. 10 and 3/8 inch hands. The only big board I saw that has him draftable is ESPN, and they like him enough to put him in the fifth, but CBS has him going undrafted by a mile, and Mock Draft Database has him going undrafted. So there's a disconnect here, right? And to understand that disconnect, we can look at the production over the last 2 years. Actually, 3 years, because 2022 he missed most of the season. So I didn't look at that, but I'm looking at 2023, 2021. 50 combined tackles, 8.5 for loss, 3 sacks, 3 passes defense last year. Much better PFF grade in 2023. So he did in some ways improve, but the production isn't exactly overwhelming, right? You're not looking at this and going, oh, this is going to be a great NFL player. But the size and the length of his arms is undeniable, and it's going to be appealing to somebody. I'd be shocked if he didn't get drafted just based off those traits personally. He moves pretty well for a guy that big. He didn't test or anything, but he does move fairly well. He's got a very powerful punch as well. Another one of these guys who just knows how to win the rep at the start by just getting on top of his man with a punch. He's got a very strong anchor. He's got lower body strength. He's really hard to move off the spot, and it's really hard to get in on him because his arms are so long. He can take on double teams and continue to hold his ground. So there's clear and obvious value here as a run defender, somebody who can plug the holes. I think that Lovett might even be able to play a little bit at nose at the NFL level. So while I don't know if that's super exciting to us because we have depth at nose tackle, just in general, it's nice to have around. So Fabian Lovett, he's got a lot of tools that you like, right? He's got a lot of things going for him. The issues would be he doesn't shed blockers the way you would like when a guy gets on him. He should be a better shedder than he is given how long his arms are, but the shed of the blocker is not what you want to see. So that's why he doesn't have that many tackles in his career. He doesn't have lateral quickness. He does have some agility, but not lateral quickness. At this point in time, he's not a very good pass rusher. I think that he could improve a little bit there, but he's probably just going to be one of those one-dimensional defenders. And he wasn't productive in college. Not really, anyway. I'm not saying he was bad, but he wasn't exactly productive playing on a defense that had some really good players on it that should have been able to take the pressure off of him. He's playing with Jared Verse. Overall, I think he's very intriguing because I think there's potential here. I think that I think that the size is appealing. I understand that he's not necessarily a great player yet, but I could see him becoming a really good player down the line. So I'm liking Fabian Lovett a little bit. I'd say fifth round. I can't imagine this guy going undrafted with these tools, with this toolbox going for him. I don't know how Fabian Lovett goes undrafted personally, and I don't understand why people are kind of expecting that. So I'd say fifth round pick would be totally fine by me. Jowon Briggs of Cincinnati, the Bearcats, couldn't find his age. 6'1", so shorter, so leverage should be okay. Almost 300 pounds, 31 and 5/8 inch arms, 9 and 5/8 inch hands. Only major big board I found him on at all was PFF, although they liked him enough to put him in like the fifth or sixth round. The database had him, but they had him going undrafted. So, not a ton of draftable qualities here. He's another guy who was more productive and more effective in 2022 than 2023. 61 tackles compared to 27 in 2023. PFF grade dipped significantly, so it seems like he regressed. Why does this keep happening? Was there some kind of random surge in defensive line numbers in 2022 that was unsustainable? I don't know. Another guy with powerful punches. We keep coming back to the punch, but I like the punch of a lot of these defensive linemen. They come off the ball, they engage their linemen, and they punch powerfully to win the rep at the beginning. He's a good block shedder as well, is Briggs. He's a solid tackler. He doesn't miss a lot of tackles. He's strong enough to hold the edge. He's strong enough to hold his gap. He's got some strength on him when he's single blocked, and his hands usage is, I think, overall very skilled as well. It's not just power in his hands, it's also skill. So he's bringing that to the table. You're going to be able to work through traffic. You're going to be able to shed through blockers. You're going to be able to stack blockers off of you, hypothetically. So Jowon Briggs has some tools that are desirable. But again, the shorter arms, 31 and 5/8 inches. That's hard, man. How is he going to be able to shed effectively in the NFL when everybody's a little bit bigger and a little bit longer? It's hard to know. I look at that and I go alarm bell. He's not a great athlete either. Jowon Briggs doesn't bring a lot of athleticism to the table for a defensive lineman. He won't be much of a threat on passing downs, I don't think ever. I don't think he'll ever be a great pass rusher. He's a run stopper, which gives him something in common with a lot of the defensive linemen that we've looked at in this series, especially later on. He's susceptible to misdirection because he doesn't have the change of direction skills. He tends to, I think, fall for stuff and then he's not able to recover. And the regression in 2023 is alarming. You'd think a guy would take a step forward when he gets a year older at the college level. So he's got good power, he's got good strength. There's some stuff I like here, but he's at best going to be good against the run. He's going to be a rotational guy who plays a handful of snaps a game on early downs. And we'll find out the hard way whether or not his game even works at the NFL because his arms are so short. So, not super excited. I guess sixth round for depth is fine because I like some stuff. But again, these guys are all over the place. These guys really are a dime a dozen. These early down defenders in the NFL who can't do anything against the pass. And the value's just not really there because there are so many of them. Okay, one more defensive end for this series this year, and then we are moving on to new positions starting tomorrow. We're going to finish up with Logan Lee of Iowa. 24 years old, 6'5", 281 pounds, 32 and a quarter inch arms, 10 and a quarter inch hands, so undersized but tall, almost like Gabe Hall, actually, very similar to Gabe Hall. Big hands, kind of shorter arms. I think he did everything at the combine, which most of these players did not. He didn't do great. His jumps were really good. He had a great vert and a phenomenal broad. So explosive. He had an awesome three cone, so change of direction skills, 20-yard shuttle, but straight line speed was eh. So you had your bench press, which was also a little bit low. So up and down for sure. The only major big board I found him on was PFF. They had him in the fifth. The mock draft database had him in like the late sixth, early seventh. So barely draftable. Probably will get drafted, but not by much. Good production the last 2 years. 110 tackles, 13 and a half for loss, 6 sacks, 3 passes defensed. Good PFF grades for this part of the draft. That's actually pretty notable production. I look at that and I go, yeah, this guy can put some numbers up there. So he's got explosiveness and he's got agility, and if you watch him on the field, you see it. You can see him maneuver around blockers. You can see him maneuver through traffic to make plays. You can see the explosiveness really show up on the tape as well as at the combine. He's got a lot of power in his hits. When he gets the opportunity to hit a ball carrier, he hits him hard. And also when he makes initial contact with an offensive lineman or a blocker, he's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of pop. Good amount of strength. Theoretically, I think he would fit in well in a 3-4 and a 4-eye role. I think that Logan Lee is the kind of guy you're typically looking for in a 4-eye role traditionally. Again, McDonald might disagree because he likes bigger guys. That's possible. But theoretically, he does look like a 4-eye to me. Although, remember, at 6'5", you can add weight, no problem. As of right now, he is undersized for inside work. He gets stuck on blockers sometimes. He doesn't shed the way you would like. He's not really quick enough to maneuver around the play. Like his straight line speed and his straight line acceleration is lackluster. His limited quick twitch athletic ability means he can't make some plays that he should be able to if he were a slightly better player. So I kind of like this. He's going to give good effort. He's going to fit in on a 3-4 defense in a 4-eye role, I think. There are limitations, of course, but those limitations don't have to bother you that much if you don't let them. And sixth rounder seems fair to me. I think that he's relatively replaceable, but at the same time, I'm like, what if he puts on like 20 pounds because he's so tall? Obviously, he would lose some of his agility, but he'd still be agile for his size. So I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but there's some unique stuff here that isn't quite as dismissible as some of the other guys we looked at. I'll put it to you that way. But I still wouldn't take him until the sixth round because there's just a lot of stuff that he doesn't have. All right. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. Probably another video later today, but if not, I'll see you guys tomorrow where we move on to another position for the draft.